Right, we'll go with you first, Jade. Twiggy. First question for you, because you're the man who looks after all the backs. I don't know much about backs, so I had to get someone to ask the questions for me, write them down here for me. Cole Garland, despite him being injured, what impact has he been able to have on the group as a whole? Can we expect to see him back really soon?
Yeah, his injury was particularly disappointing because he was progressing. He had a pretty severe ankle injury late last year, and the decision was to give him plenty of time just to rest it because it was predominantly a bone bruising issue. He presented back at the start of pre-season progressing slowly and not at the rate that he or we would have hoped, and ended up had to have surgical intervention in January. He had bone spurs in his ankle which had fractured in his foot, so that set him back. He's been back training for about a month now, and based upon all the data we have for GPS which tracks the guy's training movements and speed and general load, it suggests that he's ready to go. So he's just got a couple of little hurdles he just has to jump over before he's back playing. I dare say around 6 to 8 would see him back in the senior side.
Alex Giorgio is a new player that we like a lot. He's been fantastic since he started, very level-headed. I know he's a mature age recruit, but you'd be very, very happy with him down back? Yeah,
I've been particularly pleased with Alex. I was really concerned when he first came to the club. I thought he was going to do my head in. He's very highly strung and he's a really intelligent guy. He's an engineer by trade, so he was building highways and freeways in Adelaide before he got drafted, and he's taken a fair haircut in pay to come and play AFL footy. But my first dealings with him the first 2 weeks, because he was so used to structure and knowing what he was about to do, he was asking a lot of questions which I thought, I'm going to go insane with this bloke. But once he's actually found his place and realised that he's good enough for AFL and realised that he now knows what it looks like, he's one of the best players to coach. He's very tough. He's very task orientated. We're going to give him John Patton today, and he's only probably about your height, Robbo. He's about 192, but he plays well above his height. So been wrapped with what he's been able to do so far.
Now we're not into bashing blokes that aren't around to rebuttal, but yeah, but we will. No. You've been around the club for 3 years now. Just talk to me about the differences in the club now. Obviously, Paul Roos a fantastic sign of the Melbourne Football Club. We're all very, very excited. We're setting the club up now. It's different to what it was a couple of years ago, I'd imagine. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, well, it's been extremely challenging over the last couple of years to get a new coaching regime together and bring in some new players, and for that to not succeed. And it's been very disappointing, and it's been hard, I imagine, for supporters as well as us as staff members to see the light and see the optimism. Our club has presented the players with as good opportunity they could have to be as good as they can be right now. The board has been completely overhauled, which John was a part of, and went through an extensive review to find out what was the best look for our club off field. We've selected a new president. We have a CEO who's very serious about this club being good, which has then provided the footy department with a new look coaching staff, other key members of that footy department, which enabled the players to have as good a resource as they could ask for. At the risk of sounding like we're trying to wipe our hands of responsibility, our players, is fair and square onto them to start taking some ownership of this footy club. I'm sick of losing, I can guarantee you that. I'm sure you guys are sick of just rocking up to games hoping that we can have a go and have a try. I didn't try hardest. We're beyond that. The Paul Roos factor has been massive. The environment has completely changed, but the Paul Roos factor isn't going to make us a better footy team purely and simply, and that's not being rude to him. Benny's worked with him, and he brings the environment, he brings a way of playing, he brings the level of standards. It's now up to our players to fully buy into it and understand what their responsibility to carry our club forward. So sorry for getting emotional about that, but I'm sick of losing. I want our club to be good much sooner rather than later.
Go on here, mate. Just one more question without notice. The last couple of weeks, talking to a lot of people in the room just as we got here, there's a couple of good performances. Obviously last week wasn't what we'd hoped, but we had more of the ball than the West Coast Eagles, which was really, really promising, and we know the situation at the moment with a lot of injuries. Can you just give us a bit of a talk from an assistant coach and a coach's panel perspective, what your thoughts have been over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, the St Kilda one was particularly disappointing because that was a conversion execution problem. We kicked 0 goals 8 in the second quarter and should have probably put the Saints away by half time, and we didn't. Kept the minute, and then Revo gets going for 10 minutes and makes a big difference to the game. So we felt as though our execution and our decision making was more the problem rather than effort or enough pressure. But last week against West Coast, the only excuse that we could present from the playing perspective is we don't have a forward line. That is a legitimate excuse, but at the same time, dropping chest marks when you go inside 50 is inexcusable. So last week we had plenty of the ball. There's a different way of playing. We're probably trying to be a bit more mindful of how we go forward when we don't have tall forwards to kick to. I would expect you would see a different look today, both personnel-wise and how we move the footy, that we've got hopefully 2 speeds that we can go at. So we've reviewed the games quite thoroughly as a coaching group, and there was fair fallout last week after last Sunday's game, because that wasn't acceptable what we did, what we put out there. So there have been changes both at that selection, and I would like to think there's been a mentality shift from the playing group after Monday. So it'll all be the proof in the pudding watching the players play today, but let's seriously hope that the group get themselves going today and we can register a victory.
Jade Triggy-Rawlings, give him a round of applause. Thanks very much. Another great Tasmanian. They're fantastic, don't you worry about that.